The ancient Egyptians believed that the gods themselves engaged in sexual relationships, which influenced human sexuality and reproduction. The goddess Isis was revered as the divine mother and the embodiment of fertility and motherhood. She was believed to aid women in childbirth and protect children. Osiris, the god of the afterlife and fertility, was associated with the rejuvenating power of the Nile River and represented the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The pharaohs were considered to be earthly manifestations of Horus, the sky god associated with kingship and protection. Their sexual potency and ability to produce heirs were important aspects of their role. Hathor, the goddess of love, beauty, and music, was often depicted as a sensual and nurturing figure, associated with sexuality and fertility. The myth of Osiris and Isis tells of Osiris being killed by his brother Seth and later resurrected by Isis, symbolizing the eternal cycle of life and death. The myth of Horus and Seth recounts the struggle between the two gods, often represented as a metaphorical battle between chaos and order, with sexual undertones. The ancient Egyptians believed that sexual desire and pleasure were natural and celebrated aspects of human life. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and rituals, included magical charms and incantations to ensure sexual potency and pleasure in the afterlife. The Egyptian Turin erotic papyrus is an ancient scroll that depicts explicit sexual scenes and positions, reflecting the Egyptians' recognition and celebration of sexual desire. The fertility god Menes, also known as Khnum, was associated with sexual potency, procreation, and the regenerative powers of the Nile River. The goddess Dorit, often depicted as a protective deity with the head of a hippopotamus and the body of a pregnant woman, was associated with fertility and childbirth. The ancient Egyptians believed in the power of amulets and charms to enhance sexual performance and protect against sexual difficulties. In Egyptian mythology, the union between the sky goddess Nut and the earth god Deb was believed to be the source of all creation and life. The Song of Songs, also known as the Turin love songs, are ancient Egyptian poems that express love, desire, and longing between romantic partners. The ancient Egyptians held festivals and rituals dedicated to fertility and sexuality, often involving music, dancing, and sexual expression. The Egyptian pharaohs, as divine rulers, were believed to have a special connection with the gods, including sexual unions with goddesses or priestesses to ensure the continuity of their reign. The goddess Sekhmet, associated with both destruction and healing, was sometimes depicted with a lioness's head, symbolizing her fierce sexual energy and power. In ancient Egyptian art, the male pharaohs and gods were often depicted with erect phalluses, symbolizing their sexual potency and procreative abilities. The ancient Egyptians believed in the importance of sexual pleasure within marriage and saw it as a way to strengthen the bond between partners. The ancient Egyptians valued fidelity within marriage and considered adultery a serious offense, punishable by law. Egyptian love spells and rituals were practiced to enhance desire, attract love, or maintain fidelity within relationships. The god Bes, often depicted as a dwarf with a lion's mane and a protruding phallus, was associated with sexual pleasure, fertility, and protection against evil spirits. The goddess Neith, associated with creation and warfare, was believed to possess the power to restore virility and sexual vigor. The ancient Egyptians believed that the act of sexual intercourse had spiritual significance and could lead to a deeper connection with the divine. The Horus magical papyrus contains spells and rituals related to love, attraction, and sexual potency, providing insight into the magical practices of ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians believed that sexual pleasure and orgasm were important for both physical and spiritual well-being. Egyptian hieroglyphs and artwork often depicted sexual scenes and symbols, reflecting the Egyptians' open attitude towards sexuality. The goddess Bastet, often depicted as a lioness or a woman with a lion's head, was associated with pleasure, sensuality, and protection against evil spirits. The ancient Egyptians used various natural substances, such as honey, oil, and scented ointments, for sensual massages and sexual stimulation. The Papyrus Ani, a funerary text, includes spells and rituals to ensure sexual pleasure in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that the sexual act was a way to honor the gods and ensure their favor and blessings. In Egyptian mythology, the god Ptah was associated with the creative power of the spoken word and was believed to have used his voice to bring the world into existence, including sexual desire and attraction. The Book of the Two Ways is an ancient Egyptian funerary text that depicts sexual encounters between the deceased and various deities in the afterlife. The goddess Nut, often depicted as a star-covered sky, was associated with fertility and the cosmic aspect of sexuality. The ancient Egyptians practiced contraception using various methods, including the use of herbal remedies and the insertion of barrier methods. The god Amun, often associated with the pharaohs and considered the king of the gods, was believed to have the power to grant sexual potency and fertility. Egyptian myths and rituals often incorporated phallic symbols, representing the generative powers of the gods and their role in creation. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe,